Hey everybody, my name is Andrew Trolson, and I'm here to give you a brief overview of what to expect in the complete Silverlight class. Let's start with course objectives. Obviously we have to start somewhere, and we're going to make sure that everybody feels very comfortable with the core libraries and namespaces of Silverlight. As you may know, beginning with Silverlight 2.0 a number of years ago, Microsoft really gave us a brand new distribution of the .NET platform. So we have a dedicated Silverlight runtime, we have a dedicated set of Silverlight libraries, and we'll talk about how all that is related to the official .NET platform. We're going to be learning quite a bit about the syntax and semantics of XAML, which is a key component for a Silverlight application. We'll learn how XAML and code relate to each other, and we'll also talk about how to manipulate XAML at runtime. We'll be discussing a couple of interesting aspects of Silverlight, such as out of browser, or OOB. And that allows a Silverlight application to run as a native desktop application hosted by a window. And that works, by the way, on Macintosh or Windows. We'll be talking quite a bit about something called the control content model, which is the first step in customizing controls. We'll take a pretty detailed look at vector graphics. Now you might think to yourself that that's not going to be very important because you might be looking at Silverlight as a way to build a traditional business application. Well, believe me, Silverlight makes extensive use of vector graphics. Everything is rendered through vector graphics, including the controls themselves. So you'll be using graphics all over the place, including custom data templates, for example, or custom control templates. We'll be talking about something called an object resource, which is essentially a way to define and package up blobs of XAML that you intend to reuse. We'll be talking about storyboards, and again, this is not limited to a multimedia program. Storyboards are a key component for working with data templates and control templates because that's how we get interaction with our user. For example, you might build up a data template that says, well, if the user selects a certain cell on my grid, I want it to look a different way. And that can be done through animations. We'll be talking about styles and templates. We'll be talking quite a bit about the data binding capabilities of Silverlight. And we'll also talk about some of the lower level details that you need to know when you start to do some heavy duty control customization. We'll be talking about routed events and something called dependency properties. And of course, once you build a wonderful Silverlight application, you got to get into a website eventually. So we'll be talking about how to integrate Silverlight applications into web pages, and also talk about something called the HTML bridge. And that allows a Silverlight application to communicate with the browser and vice versa. Throughout all the different chapters and all the different labs, you're going to have a lot of time to work with Expression Blend. Expression Blend is great. It was something that, personally speaking, I was a bit leery of. I thought maybe it was a tool just for graphical artists, but it's just not the case. Blend is a key aspect for building a Silverlight application because it greatly simplifies how we work with XAML. Now when it comes to the prereqs for the course, please be aware that this is an intensive programming class. So we're going to be looking at a lot of APIs, such as Windows Communication Foundation within Silverlight, or Link to XML within Silverlight. So we expect that you're feeling pretty comfortable with C# or VB. The class is intended for people that feel comfortable with .NET programming techniques. And you should have familiarity with using Visual Studio to debug and run software. Now these are just some rough numbers, but you can kind of assume that maybe about 60% of your time will be spent in lecture or doing demos with the instructor, hands-on demos to illustrate different pieces of Blend, for example. And then 40% of your time will be for dedicated lab work. And that's where you get to build more front-to-back solutions. Now, lab solutions are provided for all the labs, so that's obviously yours to keep. Here's a breakdown of the actual course content on a chapter-by-chapter basis. And you'll notice that the class was written to try to combine like topics. So, for example, Chapter 3 really is on 3 very independent but very interrelated topics: object resources, vector graphics, and animations. And there's a lab for each one of those topics. Same thing for Chapter 4. Styles and templates and user controls are all very interrelated. Chapter 5, that's where we also address that HTML bridge that I was mentioning. Now, the classroom setup is not too bad. It begins by installing Visual Studio 2010. You'll also want to install Expression Blend 4.0. And then you need to also download and install the Silverlight 4.0 tools for Visual Studio 2010. If you were to just do a Google search on that exact topic, you'd find the download page from the Microsoft Download Center, but I also put in the direct link in the slide deck. Once you have all those pieces installed, and I would suggest you install them in that order, then your machine should be fully equipped to work with all the labs of the week. So that's a really quick rundown on what we go through from a very high level in the complete Silverlight class. Hope to see you there.